fuel and oil levels in the engines, and we're ready to see if this girl will start. So here we are in the cabin. Several levers here in the engine compartment. This is the set of shutters. This tractor came with shutters in front of the radiator, doing the same thing as the all-fuel tractors on the two-cylinder era. So shut the shutters and keeps the fuel, or keeps the engine warm. This is a switch for your light switch, oil pressure, amp gauge, tachometer, and water temperature. This is a PTO, for live power PTO, clutch, transmission. Everything else over here is for the pony motor, and this is your throttle for the diesel motor. The diesel motor starts and stops the same as most all of the other diesels. This was the first diesel John Deere ever made, and they came up with the concept of starting and stopping it with the throttle. So on the R, you have this button over here, and if you push the throttle forward, this button pops out and becomes the stop. So if you pull it back against that button, that's idle. And then to shut the engine off, you got to push the button all the way in and then pull the lever the rest of the way back. That shuts your engine off. So in order to get ready to start, you have to be sure and push your throttle forward. I like to push it all the way forward to know where that's at, and then part way back, so it's not at full throttle, but at least half throttle. So throttle is set, button is out, so we got fuel ready to flow to the diesel engine. The next thing to be sure of is that you're out of gear, transmission's in neutral, so you don't happen to surprise somebody and back over somebody that's not ready. So we disengage the clutch, knock it into neutral, and then we leave the clutch disengaged. Makes it easier for it to turn over. But like all the other two-cylinder tractors with the clutch and the belt pulley, if you're going to leave it sitting idle for any period of time, engage the clutch while it's sitting in neutral and have the clutch turning so that you don't wear your clutch discs out. So be sure the clutch is disengaged, getting ready to start. Over here are several things for the pony motor. First one is the fuel, the shut-off for the gasoline on the pony motor. I found out that about 2 revolutions of this is enough to open up the fuel line enough to allow fuel to flow. This next one is a special accessory that you could get for the tractors, and it's the hand start, and it's a little wooden, I think this is the original wooden knob yet, and then it's hooked onto a cable, and you pull on that, and it's just like starting a chainsaw. Pull it back, and then there's a coiled spring in there for recoil, and it'll recoil for you, and you can start the motor that way if you want to, or if your battery is dead or needs some extra help or something's wrong with your starter, you can at least hand start the tractor or hand start the pony motor. I found it handy to set the timing on the Magneto. When I needed to have the Magneto set at a certain spot, I just grabbed a hold of this and I pulled it just so far and turned the motor over very slowly until the Magneto hit to the spark, and so it's helpful that way. Otherwise, a lot of tractors did not come with that feature because that was kind of an expensive feature to order with your tractor. Next item down is the actual starter, and all you're doing is pulling on a lever that is like using your foot to push on a lever on an early A John Deere, where you pushed on the starter button right on the starter to engage the starter. That's what you're doing here, is grounding out the starter to turn the starter over. Next one over is a choke. The carburetor is a dry carburetor. the gas line goes down into the fuel tank and has to suck the gas up out of the fuel tank and into the carburetor each time that the pony motor is started. So if the tractor hasn't run for some time, it's a pretty good idea to pull the choke out for 2, 3, maybe 4 revolutions, but probably not more than that. Otherwise you'll flood it, and then you push your choke back in, and everything else being equal with your spark and fuel, your pony motor should be starting. Otherwise you got some other issues. So a little bit of choke, and while you're turning the starter over, and it should take off. Once the pony motor is running, then you have to concentrate on these 2 levers. While the pony motor is running, this one on the right hand side is the compression release for the diesel motor. And being in the military, it was easy for me to remember what to do first and second, because I always had to teach recruits how to march. And so I always remembered you start with your right and end with your right. So right, left, and I remembered that sequence. Pull the right first, pull the left second, push that in, and you're done. So the sequence is right, back first, and that is releasing the compression from the diesel engine in order for the pony motor to turn it over. Once you hold that back, then you pull this back to engage the pony motor to spin the diesel motor, and you hold that back, and the pony motor will drop from about 4,400 RPMs down to maybe 3,400 RPMs while it's grunting to turn the big motor over. You hold that back, and as soon as it is turning that motor over in good shape, you push the compression back in, give the compression back to the diesel motor. The diesel motor should start right off, and then you let your pony motor disengage from the diesel, and then reach up here and turn the 2 revolutions back closed, and within seconds your pony motor will starve of fuel and shut off. And now you've got your diesel engine idling and running at your throttle setting, and you're ready to go. So with that, let's see if this girl will respond and start. It's kind of a warm day today, so I don't think we need much of a warm-up phase. I understand up in Canada in the wintertime, where it really can be cold, that they'll take the pony motor and they'll run the first quart of gas through the pony motor and just let it run. And that will warm the water up around the water jacket, around the engine, and warm the engine up. And that's how they'd warm the engine up in order for it to start. Then they'd refill the gas tank, put another quart in, and start the pony motor again. And then they would start the diesel engine on the second tank. And in very cold weather, I understand that's what you might have to do. Today, I expect it to really fire right off as soon as we get the pony motor started. So let's see if that'll happen. Transmission's in neutral. Clutch is disengaged. We're going to take the fuel lever, and there's 1 revolution. There's 2 revolutions. So our fuel is on. Our throttle setting is still about midstream. I'm going to pull the choke first, and then pull the starter.